Yeah. Oh, amazing. Oh, well, I have to get into my podcasting mindset. So in 3, 2, 1, hello and welcome to the Tough Girl podcast, which is all about motivating and inspiring you while increasing the amount of female role models in the media. I'm your host, Sarah Williams. So today's episode is slightly different from what we normally do, as we are recording live at the Armchair Adventure Festival down in Mount Edgecombe. And just to sort of set the scene, we are sat in a tent. That we are on beautiful red armchairs. There is hay bales in front of me. There is a beautiful looking audience in front of me. The sun is shining, which is really nice. It has been trying to change its mind. Wind, cold, sun, not sun. But we are here and I've got a wonderful guest with me, Candida Louis. Woo! So,
hello, thank you so much.
Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the podcast. So, Candida, I would love for you to introduce yourself, tell everybody just a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Okay, so I'm Candida Louis and I'm from South India, from a place called Hubli. I started riding motorcycles almost 16 years ago with my dad, and it's been 10 years of full-time riding motorcycles. So I quit my finance job after 6 years of working in the IT company, and my first trip was around India alone for 7 months, and then I went on to ride from India to Australia for 8 months. And then 2 years ago, after the ABR festival, I rode through 25 countries in Europe. Yeah, so that's just a little bits and pieces of what I've done.
And that is fantastic because that gives us a really solid sort of starting point. Yes. So I actually want to go back to almost like your early years and growing up in India. And you mentioned that your dad was quite influential in terms of riding, of riding. So do you remember your earliest memory of getting on a motorbike, and, you know, what was that like?
Yeah, so the very first memory that I have on a motorcycle was in India. Like the baby or the kid sits on the tank in front of the motorcycle. So it's my dad and mom and me on the tank. So like I always have this memory of the wind hitting my face and just like enjoying the view, even though I was really tiny, and I absolutely loved that feeling. So because we lived in a place where there's so many waterfalls and beaches and stuff. So when I was in college, I would kind of like bunk college and go to all these waterfalls with my friends and stuff. So I really got into traveling quite early. But again, my dad and mom really encouraged me to ride motorcycles and travel the world, even though we came from a part where everybody else wasn't that supportive, because when I started riding motorcycles, there were not many women riding motorcycles back home. So it was very difficult for them to accept something like that. And like all my friends and everything, we would always had to get back home by 4. So it was very strict. And even when I started riding motorcycles, a lot of neighbors and a few family friends did stop talking to my parents because they said I was like bad influence and stuff like that. So it was quite difficult in the beginning, but now it's all changed. Yeah.
I think sometimes it can be really difficult when you have a passion and you have an interest and you're encouraged and supported by your family and loved ones, but other people are making judgments on you and what that you want to do. And just almost going back to that time and you wanting to pursue this passion. Did you ever think that this would become your career or that you could do this full time? Was that a dream that you ever had?
So I always wanted to travel the world, but I never ever imagined that I could get like supported and like be financially stable by just doing this. But it all kind of happened. Like what I would say is, when I was working in the IT company, I was always running and trying to get the money and like working hard towards the money. But when I shifted that perspective and it was all about like following your passion and really putting all the love and energy into something that you love, then the money and all the opportunities come to you. So that is when I shifted that mindset, everything literally changed. Yeah.
I think that's really interesting, because I think this is what I almost like want to dig into, and I don't know if anybody else sort of has this as well. It's when you have a dream and there's something that you want to do, and it can almost like seem so far away, and it's how do you make that transition? Like, how do you make it a reality? Like, how did you come to sort of go on your first motorcycle adventure and like actually make it happen? Like, could you take us back to that time?
So I was working for Oracle for 4 years, and every weekend after work we would go on these short road trips, and I absolutely enjoyed that, and I enjoyed working for the company. But then I did change to another very strict company where I would get only 1 day leave a month, and my manager would never allow me to take like 4 or 5 days leave together, even during the entire year. And that really started messing with my head, and I really wanted to go out there, and I just couldn't be stuck in that place. So one day I got a call from one of the TV shows saying that they needed one woman biker to go around India for 3 months. And the show was called Extreme Ride or something like that, where like 10 riders from 10 different parts of the world come together and do this ride together. So I quickly went to my manager and I said, I'm going on this journey. Can I get 3 months off? And then he was like, nope, you can't. But then a senior manager said, yes, you can go, but like no pay. So I said, yes, I just want to go. And within 4 days, I set out on this ride. But within 10 days of riding together, everyone had so much of differences. It was extreme. So everyone started backing out. So within 10 days, the show cancelled. So then I had like 2.5 months more of leave left. And so I called my parents and I said, I'm not going to tell anyone, but I'm going to continue this journey alone. And then come back home, because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to get so much of leaves. And then my parents were so scared, because at that time I've never traveled alone. I was always in groups and with friends. But then I sort of tried to convince them that if I could do those 10 days in such tough conditions, that I can definitely do it alone and do it much easier and better. So I quickly flew back, took my own motorcycle, and went around riding for this 3 months, and they were the best days of my life. And then so I went back to so I actually, on the last 2 days of that ride, I got stuck in not a tsunami, like a hurricane sort of situation. Not a hurricane, what's it called?
Tornado?
We don't have those in India. It's just
Typhoon?
Yeah,
Typhoon?
sort of like that, like a flood situation. And then my manager called me and said, you have to get back to work in 2 days. And there's like, what's this, 5 feet of water. And then I'm like, how do I get back? He's like, you're going to lose your job if you don't get back. You were out enjoying yourself for 3 months, so you have to come back. And so after 2 days, even in that strong wind and all that water, I still made my way back after riding for 8 hours. And then the last 100 kilometers, I was literally shivering and shaking because I was so cold and just like completely soaking wet. And the next day I did go to work, and everybody was like super happy that I did this amazing ride and I got back. But the next day, I couldn't even get out from bed. I was so sick. Maybe the adrenaline and all of that kept me going for those 3 months. But I was so sick, I couldn't even go to the washroom. And I told my manager again, I'm sorry, but I just can't make it to the office because I'm so sick. And he was like, if you don't come in right now, you're losing your job. And then I literally had friends come over and take me to work. And then when he saw me, he's like, oh, you're actually sick. You can go back home. And like I burst out crying, and I quickly went and I had to call my mother, and I told her that I'm quitting my job immediately. I can't do this anymore. And then she was like, we worked so hard to give you the education to put you into this into good colleges and you've got your dream job and now you're giving it all just to ride motorcycles, how are you going to survive? Yeah. And I said, you have to trust me. You have to believe in me that I can do something out of it. And please just give me 1 year. And if in that 1 year I can't prove to you what I can do riding motorcycles, I would go back to my finance job. And then my mother accepted and I quit my job. And then I continued riding for the next 3 months around India. And during this time, these 7 months of riding, I had just created a Facebook page to just inform my parents and my family of where I am every day, because at that time the internet was quite slow and it was very difficult to send individual photographs to everybody. So I would just put it on this page and I would tell everyone, just follow me here. So, and then after riding for 7 months, that grew to about 10,000 followers. And then like brands started approaching me and saying, do you want a pair of gloves? Or do you want
some socks?
Yeah.
That's what I get offered a lot of.
Yeah. So, and I did not even know that something like that existed. And then from Facebook, I moved on to Instagram and I continued posting because I was doing so many rides after that. And yeah, after 10 years now of continuously posting, I have about 246,000 followers. Yeah, so
that's huge. Like, that is huge.
Yeah, and I never imagined that you could collaborate with brands and they pay you a lot of money to talk about their products and use it. And all the money that I saved from all these brand collaborations, like I bought land back home and I built an Airbnb, and they are running right now while I'm traveling. So there's like consistent income coming from there. And plus I do motorcycle tours for a living. So I've led 52 motorcycle tours in 7 different countries. So all these opportunities just came out of nowhere. It was just so after I did my India ride, I was like, now I've seen so much of India. Now I want to show it to other people. So then I had people from Australia and the UK and US saying, why don't we come on one of your tours? And then I created a tour for them. And so I've been leading those tours for the last 8 years now. So it was just opportunity after opportunity out of nowhere. Yeah.
But it's also, it's taking that initial risk.
Yeah.
Like, just thinking back to that time when especially when, you've worked so hard, you've got your degree, you've got this great job. And it's when other people looking in, they're looking at you thinking, well, you've got a great job, you're getting a salary, you've got the title, you're everything that maybe the other person is wanting as well. And then actually to make that change or to make that transition, like, it can't have been easy. And always taking you back to that time, leaving your job, you're feeling very sick, you've managed, you've had this conversation with your family, like, give me a year.
Yeah.
Did you have a plan? Like, was it just like, I'm just going to ride and figure it out as I go? Or because of maybe like your business and finance sort of background, you were maybe more structured in terms of, okay, well, if I post more, I'll get more followers and then, I can do what. But in terms of, like, I suppose the practicalities of actually making this work.
So I would say the first 3 years were the toughest of my life. There were times when I went down to just having £4 in my pocket, and I was really struggling because I was used to getting a stable income every single month. And then when that stops, your brain kind of shuts down and you feel like you're useless and you're doing nothing in your life, and you're like, it just puts you in this frozen mode, and then you got to build up all that strength and say, no, this is what I love doing and this is what I want to do. And then I had like about £200, a little bit of savings, and I told my mother, when I run out with this money, I'll come back home. And at that time, I could do a lot of things with that money. And like I said, on the way, I met a lot of friendly people. And because they had never seen a woman riding a motorcycle solo across India, so they were very friendly and welcoming and a lot of support. And then there were a lot of tire companies that came forward and said that they would sponsor me and stuff. So it just, that 20,000 Indian rupees or 20 pounds never got over, because it just kept it just kept adding to it. Yeah.
I think one of the things that can, or one of the things that I sort of noticed, especially when I also worked in finance. I worked in banking for 8 years, and after I left my job, I actually felt like such a failure, because it's like I was like, why can't I hack it when everyone else is obviously, you know, so happy doing what they're doing. And like you mentioned, it can really affect your self-confidence and your belief in yourself. And in terms of like your self-confidence and belief and actually, you know, I can do this, I can ride solo around India, I can explore these places, I can share my journey, you know. How was your confidence affected, and you know, what did you do to either build your confidence back up?
Yeah, so every person that I met, everywhere I went, people would always say India isn't a safe country. Why are you traveling solo? And that always broke me. And then even whenever I would meet like some newspaper media people, and they would want an interview for the newspaper, the first thing that they would ask me was, did something bad happen to you? And if I would say no, they wouldn't even take the interview. So like stuff like that kept happening, and it always was very disheartening. But then by now I had already traveled so much of India, and I had seen the kindness, I had seen the hospitality, and I seen that everywhere in the world is good people, and the people make the places. No matter anywhere you go in the world, that's how it works. There are a few bad people, but then you just gotta trust that the universe is protecting you, and you kind of got to believe in that and have faith, and then keep traveling. Yeah.
You have done a lot of traveling, and I'd love for you to share maybe one of those magical moments, one of those highlights, you know, whether it's a country or an experience that you've had on your bike, which you sort of look back on and just think, you know, that was incredible.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this photo where so we were 4 friends from different parts of the world, where we took laptops and we went and delivered them in remote villages in Cambodia, and we taught children English and how to use the laptops and stuff, and we helped build rafts and schools and stuff like that. So on my travels right now, because I travel so much, I just don't want to keep traveling and traveling for myself, but I want to do good on the way and help other people and teach them what I've learned along the way. So I think those are the most special moments for me on the journey. But like I said, even this photo, the previous one back home, that was the day when I was leaving to Australia on my trip. And I had just posted one day in advance that I'm leaving on this journey tomorrow at 6 a.m. at this building. And I would say like 260 people turned up. And then it sort of struck me that if so many people are believing in my journey and in what I'm doing, that I have to try and believe in myself and keep doing it for the others and not just for myself. But if there are so many amazing things that happen on the way. Like even when my motorcycle breaks down, initially I had no clue about how to repair a motorcycle. I was just going with the flow, and there would be truck drivers and all stop for me and help me repair the motorcycle. Like I would stop at garages, they would do stuff for me and not even charge me anything. So these are just like small things. But some big events that happened were like when I was in Indonesia and camping on the beach. I normally camp for 2 days or 3 nights because it takes a lot of effort to set everything up. So it's very difficult to pack everything the very next day. But that night, something kept telling me that I have to leave from that camping place. There was some sort of intuitions. And then I left, and you won't believe what happened. The tsunami struck there, and a lot of people died. So it's just like these small things along the way that happen, and like you realize how important life is, and that you got to experience everything. And the world is, we are so tiny in this big world, and there's so much to see, so many people and such amazing cultures and things that you have to experience. Yeah.
So I've been doing Tough Girl Challenges for about sort of like 10 years now, and also been doing, more and more traveling, trying to cram in as many challenges and adventures as possible. And one of the things I actually struggled with a couple of months ago when I was out on a Camino, and I had sort of like this. The only thing I can describe is like this emotional wobble where I was sort of walking and I'd done like a really big day, but I just started to think, what am I doing with my life? Like, should I be out here? Am I still enjoying this? Am I still appreciating the amount of traveling that I'm doing? And so I almost felt a little bit like, but burnt out, I suppose. And I was just wondering, with the amount of traveling that you do, have you ever experienced that? And you might not have done, it might just be.
Yeah, so it's been 10 years now full of time traveling, and I travel 11 months every year. So I hardly get to see my family. So some days it gets very lonely and very difficult, especially in certain countries where no one really comes and speaks to you and stuff. So you're very, very lonely. But yeah, I've kind of gotten used to it. But then there are highs and lows to it. And like I was telling a few friends that someone actually told me that, do you realize that you come back home only 2 weeks every year? And so you only spend 2 weeks of your time with your parents. And do you realize that you only have like a few months with them in total for your lifetime? And that's all you get. So that really hit me hard. And so now I try to fly my parents down to where I am so we can like spend more time together, because family does matter, and they've been like so supportive my entire life, and I really want to give back. But again, it gets very lonely, but there are even like really good sides to it. There's so many amazing people that you meet, and I think if I go back home I wouldn't have gotten to experience that.
Well, no, honestly, thank you for sharing that, because I do actually think this is really important to share, because from the outside, especially on social media, when you're sharing your life and your love for travel and adventure and challenges, it can look so glamorous and amazing. You're traveling from country to country, but you're always, 11 months out of 12 is a huge amount of traveling. But like you mentioned, not seeing your family, not seeing your parents, like there can be. It's not, I suppose what I'm trying to get across is sometimes it's not all sunshine and roses, that you do have moments which you're just a little bit low or a little bit maybe not feeling your best. But when you do have those sort of, I suppose lower moments when you're out sort of adventuring, what have you found that have helped to like sort of pull you out and to get you back mentally on the right track?
Yeah, so at the end of a tough day, there's always something that makes me happy. Like yesterday, after riding for so many hours, I got here and watched the most beautiful sunset. And just like sometimes when I'm camping and feeling a bit low, there would be like kangaroos come up to me and just like let me touch them and stuff. So there are moments like that. When I was camping in India, I had elephants come up to me, and so these interactions were really special, and that's what keeps me going. But yeah, I did get burnt out a few years ago, and that's why I stopped YouTube completely. Like even though I had about 250,000 subscribers on YouTube, but it took a lot of effort. Initially I was writing for happiness and for fun and to just experience places, but with YouTube and filming continuously, it became sort of like hectic and a lot of work, like writing the whole day, editing in the night, posting, thinking about what to do next. It got way too much. So I completely stopped YouTube, and that's why I've created these other Airbnbs that's continuously running, and I'm generating income from there, and that can fund my travel. So I don't have to do full-time social media. Yeah.
I think sometimes I create some YouTube videos as well. And I think sometimes people don't necessarily realize if you've never done like the editing side of things, the 6 minute, 8 minute video can be
it
like
takes a long time.
You're probably quicker than me, but sometimes it's like 8-9 hours, and then you're trying to find the right music and the right vibes. It can be like it's almost like creativity like overload in your head, where you're just like, I just can't like you're just on like all the time.
Yeah, I only do Instagram now because it's quick, 20 seconds, 30 seconds video, and it's super fast. You can edit them on your phone. So that's what I like doing. I like writing for the entire day and just posting one picture. So that's fine. Yeah.
So what does it, when you're out there, like what does it look like in terms of your planning, in terms of navigation? You know, how structured are you? Are you very sort of set with the route that you want to follow, or are you more like, let's just go with the flow, like let's just follow the sunset, or you know?
I'm very much like that. I think because I travel for so many months, you can't really plan so many months ahead. I just know that the countries that I'm passing through, and then I figure out once I'm at today, I would look at my map and see which is the closest place, and I always go to Google and find the things to do around me. So then if I am interested in waterfalls or interested in some adventure activity, I would find those things to do and do that. And then I would see like, oh, today I'm feeling good, so tomorrow I can ride about 400 kilometers and then go that way. If I'm not feeling so good, I just do about 100 or 150 kilometers. So it's much easier when you travel alone. Yeah, so you can just go about how you feel, and that's how I plan my travels. So from the last 1 month, I've been riding through Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. But then this was a very fast sort of ride because I had to come back for the Armchair Festival. But now that I've kind of got an idea of how beautiful Ireland and Scotland is, now I know that next year I'm going to come back and do that part for at least 2 months. So that's how I plan things. If I like a country, I definitely come back and spend more time.
So what does the next sort of 6 months look like for you? Sort of talk us through the next 6 months.
It's very, very busy with the motorcycle tours. Tours are booked out for like 1 or 2 years in advance. Yeah, so soon after this festival, I go to Kyrgyzstan. Then I have a tour in South India, Kerala tour. And I have 2 Kerala tours. There's 2 spots remaining if anyone wants to join. Yeah, and in December in India is a lot of motorcycle events. So I have to attend those events. Then Christmas, and then again a lot of motorcycle tours in different countries. So that's how I do it: 6 months of motorcycle tours and 6 months or 5 months of solo motorcycle travel. That's how it works.
And have you, especially in the world of motorcycling?
Yes, motorcycling.
Have you noticed a change over the past sort of 10 years? Are you seeing more women out there riding bikes? You know, do you have more peers out there doing similar things to you? You know, what does that look like?
Yeah, I'm so happy with how the world has changed. I see a lot more women riding motorcycles, especially back in India. There's 1.6 billion people. And when we started off, we were just like 100 or so women that were riding motorcycles. A lot of women ride scooters, but no one really rides motorcycles. But in the last few years, I've seen that number grow to like 10,000, 20,000 women riding. So it's a good change. So now people treat us equal. Yeah, before it was a lot of eyes. It was we are like the odd ones out. So now it's easier. And then back home, we also train 100 women every month to ride motorcycles. And the best part about riding motorcycles is the freedom and independence it gives you. Like, you can go anywhere you want to. You can, like, I had never imagined when I was growing up that I could go to all these different countries on my motorcycle. I've gone to 42 countries on one motorcycle, and through crossing borders. I had never imagined that such a thing was possible. And for someone that started off working and getting like 20 pounds a month, how is that even possible? Yeah. So everything has changed after getting on a motorcycle, and it's definitely one of my superpowers. Like, even on the last day of ABR, I dislocated my knee and tore a ligament again. And every time the doctor says you can't get on a motorcycle for the next 3 months, and within 3 days I'm back on the motorcycle, because the first day is definitely painful, but then once I ease into it, it heals my leg faster than ever. And Yeah, just like my therapy.
You said ABR. What's ABR?
The Adventure Bike Rider Festival that happened like a month ago. Yeah.
Amazing.
20,000 people come for it. Yeah. It was cool.
And were you speaking there as well?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
fantastic. And what bike, for the technical people, what bike are you riding? Give us the stats of the bike, and does it have a name?
Back in India, I own a Bajaj Domina 400. It's only sold in like 150 other countries, but not here. Yeah, it has a KTM 390 engine, but that's what I ride. But over here, Triumph was, I was lucky enough to get a Scrambler 1200X that I'm riding now for the last 1 month. So I'm really happy with that.
And do you name your bike?
Yes, I do name my bike. My motorcycle in India is called Sky, which is why when I rode from India to here, I really wanted to go to the Isle of Skye and finish my ride there, but I couldn't because it was very, very cold in October. So yeah, and this bike that I'm riding now is called Scarlet. Nice and red and scarlet. Yeah.
So you mentioned you previously rode from India to sort of over to the UK. What did the route look like, and how long did that take?
So I actually rode from India to Australia, which took me like 8 months, and then I shipped the motorcycle to London.
So sorry, just how would you get to? Would you go? What route would you take from India down to Singapore?
From India to Bhutan, Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia. And when I got to Bali, I put the motorcycle on a ship to Perth, Australia. And then again, I rode from Perth to Sydney, Australia. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. And if you, where else do you want to go on the bucket list? Where else?
I definitely want to go to Mongolia and Japan. Those have always been my dream locations. Definitely going to happen soon. Yeah.
Fantastic. So I'd love to know, the audience, do you have any questions or any topics that you would like me to ask, to focus on? Do you want to just ask, if you shout it out, then I'll talk it into the microphone. Okay. So when you're touring, where do you stay? Do you stay in hostels? Do you camp? What does that look like?
So it depends in which country I'm riding. When I was riding through India, I would suggest not camping. I tell this to a lot of people, like sometimes I camp, but I only camp in places where the place is owned by a friend and has like a few acres to go camping in, and I know it's safe. Because India, even though it's such a big country, there are places that are not so safe, and because they're not used to people camping, so they might just come in the night and just open your tent to see what's happening. Sometimes they don't mean harm, but they're very curious to know what's happening. So I wouldn't suggest camping in India. And I also did not camp very much in Southeast Asia, but when I did my Europe trip, I camped quite a lot, especially in Norway, Sweden. So you always have to understand which countries you're riding in and then figure out whether you have to camp. But I always carry my camping equipment with me, because there are some days that I feel, okay, I'm going to be on the road only for 8 or 9 hours, but that sometimes stretches to like 17 or 18 hours and I can't really find a place to stay. Then I will camp. But mostly if a trip is sponsored by somebody, then I tend to like do 5 days of camping or 3 days of camping, and then the rest of the days in a nice hotel. Especially now when I was riding through Scotland and Ireland, I really wanted to camp, but it was pouring rain and I really did not want to camp, so I was staying in hostels and Airbnbs. So it always differs. Yeah.
Great question. Any other questions, topics? Yep. Yeah. So the question was, if you have a breakdown, how do you deal with that, especially when you're riding the GS? Particularly a BMW? Ooh, technical question. I love it.
So when I did my tour around India, I was riding a Royal Enfield, and at that time I had no clue how to fix a motorcycle or anything about the motorcycle. But at that time it broke down so many times, and I was mostly in the garage, and I was always looking at what people were doing. So I kind of learned how to repair motorcycles because I spent so much of time in a garage. And then when I got my bike, the Bajaj Dominar Sky, I still did not know a lot, but I had known the basics. And when I got to Bali and when I had to ship the motorcycle to Perth, I did not know that they wanted like almost a brand new motorcycle entering Australia, because they have very strict quarantine rules, that no dust, no dirt, nothing on your motorcycle. So I literally had to strip the entire motorcycle, use toothbrushes and all those brushes for 3 or 4 days, and literally clean every single part of the motorcycle and put it back together. And what I did was just take off everything and put it in different sections. And then once everything was done cleaning, I put it back. And then after I put it back, I still had like 3 to 4 screws left. And I was like, what do I do now? But I just kept riding with that until today. I don't know where it goes. Yeah, but it just worked. So it's just like that always. When you have these moments and you have no other option, you just tend to find a solution, or you just do that. But now the BMWs that I ride, because I have this following, the BMW trips have always a backup vehicle, because those are like more expensive trips and stuff. So they always send a mechanic, and yeah. So those trips, I don't really have to care. But like I said, even if you break down, within like 10 minutes, somebody will come and help you. So you just gotta, I don't know. But I do know how to fix my bike just enough to get it to the closest shop. And I always carry gorilla tape, zip ties, and yeah, just all the essential things to just like on the last day in Bali, when I was just going to ship my motorcycle, a truck came and hit me and broke my top box, and I just gorilla taped it all back together and continued riding. So these are just like small things that you can do while on a motorcycle.
Have you ever had an experience on a, so you mentioned getting hit by the truck, and obviously you're okay, but have you ever had a situation happen which has really, I suppose, knocked your confidence while you've been on a bike, while you've been out traveling?
There are a lot of times that silly things happen to me. I tend to fall often in the bathroom, or like this last knee dislocation was at the yurt at the last festival, where a man tripped and fell right into my knee and took it off. So there are stuff where when I'm not on the bike, but it happens to me, and it really drains my confidence, and it's like, what is happening to me? I cannot ride a motorcycle again, and I have to cancel so many trips, and all of that keeps playing in my head. But with all these new motorcycle gears that we have, especially on the motorcycle, I think we're much safer out there with all the equipment, and it's easy now to ride. And yeah, I know I deviated from that question, but yeah, again, like I said, I always lose confidence, but once I see the motorcycle and once I sit on it, I can go for hours together. Yeah.
So it's like riding a bike, getting back on the bike, I suppose.
Yeah.
Are there other questions or topics? No, amazing. I just want so you mentioned that you're on Instagram and YouTube. Where are you most active on social media, and how can people find out about your tour so they can come and join you? Where should they go?
Yeah, so my Instagram and YouTube is called Candida Louis. Candida and Louis, my surname. But yeah, I have cards that I can give out for the motorcycle tours. So if you'll ever want to come to India on a motorcycle ride or a car ride, you're always free to contact me, and I can plan different trips for you. And I also run a beautiful Airbnb very close to Bangalore. I have 7 dogs and 2 cats. And like, if you'll ever want to come and pet sit them or whatever, just contact me and I will help you out. And I want more people to come and see India because it's extremely beautiful. It's a country, but I always feel it's a continent because we have some amazing high mountain passes. The new passes that are open now are 19,800 feet where you can ride. Yeah, so they're really high mountains. We have the sand dunes, we have the lovely beaches, we have salt flats. So we have everything. I just want you all to come and experience it. And India is very, very safe, especially if you, for the first time, you come in a group and you want to experience it, and then you can venture out alone. Yeah.
And I suppose the final question is, I'd love for you to share your final words of advice, final words of wisdom, to motivate and inspire other people to follow their adventures, go on their challenges, to take that first step. Apart from just do it, what advice would you like to share? And you can take that in any direction that you would like.
I would say if you love something, if you're very, very passionate about it, at least try to take that first step. I know it's going to be tough. I know it's going to be hard, but do it, and the universe will help you if you're really passionate about it. Just take that risk and it will prove to be the right thing. It can be anything from music to dance to anything that you're passionate about. You have to just take that first step, and you have to work really hard to fulfill that if that's what you're looking at doing. And just believe in yourself, love yourself, and there's a lot of people out there to support you. And now with the new technology, there's so many opportunities, so much of work that you can find that I had never imagined. Like now I sell merchandise and stickers and so many things. I never had these opportunities before, but they've just all come up. So just believe in yourself, people, and go out there and travel and see this beautiful world. Yeah.
Absolutely. And one of the key things you said there is that there is support out there.
Yeah.
So, by just watching your stories on YouTube, following you on Instagram and seeing it on Facebook, listening to the Tough Girl podcast and, hearing these stories of other women going out on adventures and challenges, there will be tips and tricks available for you. Now, not every tip and trick is going to be for you, but this is when you can be a magpie and just think, you know what? I'll try that. I'll try that instead and see how it's going to fit into your life. So everything that we have talked about today is going to be available in the show notes at toughgirlchallenges.com. So please do go and visit the website. And Candida, thank you so much for coming on Tough Girl Podcast, and thank you so much for sharing more about your life and your journey. It's been absolutely inspiring.
Thank you so much. Loved being here. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey Tribe, I really hope you enjoyed that episode with Candida. Like I said earlier, everything we have spoken about today will be available in the show notes at toughgirlchallenges.com. Today, we also have a bonus episode happening. So in a couple of hours at 11 a.m, there's going to be the second live recording from the Armchair Adventure Festival with Tiffany Coates, who is also an incredible motorcyclist. She has motorcycled around the world quite a few times now, and she's got some amazing stories to share. If you are enjoying the live podcast episodes from the Armchair Adventure Festival and you would like to watch them in person, then let me tell you that you can get tickets for next year's show. So that is going to be happening. And why didn't I pull up the Armchair Adventure? There we go. armchairadventurefestival.com. If you go and visit the website, you can find more information about the Armchair Festival. It's happening down in Mount Edgecombe, which is in Cornwall, and it's going to be taking place from the 24th to the 27th of July. It is the UK's best celebration of adventure travel. You can book your tickets now. They are on sale, and you can use the discount code TG10 to get 10% off your tickets. You can expect adventure talks. There's loads of activities. There is workshops. There's incredible live music. There's inspirational speakers from around the world. There's adventurous activities. There is lots and lots and lots going on. So the best thing to possibly do is, I absolutely loved it. I had such a great time at the Armchair Festival. I've been for the last 2 years now. It's been absolutely incredible. Is go and visit the website, armchairadventurefestival.com, and you can see some pictures. There is also a short sort of film talking about what happened at the Adventure Festival, how it came about, what people can expect. And they've got some great drone footage as well. So you can see the layout of the camp. I think it's a really really sort of personal festival. Like it's like, I think like 1,000 people go, but it doesn't feel like 1,000. It feels like 300 people ish. But just really great vibes, great atmosphere, wonderful food, really great energy. And there's just such a passion for the outdoors and adventures. It's just basically, it's a cracking weekend, lots of good times, lots of laughter, lots of fun. Reese and Matt work super hard to pull this together. It's an incredible venue. I've been a speaker before, like Abby Barnes has been a speaker. Actually, this year there was loads of women who'd been on the Tough Girl podcast who'd been speakers. Obviously, I'm going to forget all of the names right now. But they also do great stuff for charity as well. They raised over £15,000 for charity Adventure for Good. So they believe in using their platform for good causes. So since the Armchair Adventure Festival began, they've raised over £15,000 for various charitable organisations. And this year they announced the Get Out, Do Stuff Adventure Travel Grant, which was founded in memory of David Martin. The Get Out to Do Stuff Travel Grant aims to help people head off on their own adventures, no matter how big or small. And there's more information about the grant on the website, armchairadventurefestival.com. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do hit subscribe, so when bonus episodes come out, they will automatically get downloaded to your phone. We are on all the platforms. I was about to say iPhone, but iTunes, Apple, which is obviously iTunes, Google, iHeartRadio. YouTube now has like a podcasting segment as well, so you can listen to where you listen. What am I talking about? You know how to listen to podcasts. But if you've got a friend who is new to the podcasting world and doesn't quite know how things work, I'd love for you just, spend a couple of minutes with them, show them how they can find episodes, download a couple for them on their phone, especially if they're looking for adventure or challenge, they're looking for a change. This could be what they are looking for. Thank you again for all your incredible support. If you'd like to support the mission at Tough Girl Challenges, then please visit Patreon, patreon.com/Tough Girl Podcast, and you can support monthly or annually. And all that's left for me to say is, don't forget the discount code TG10, but all that's left for me to say is, wherever you are, whatever you are doing, give it your all, give it 110%, get after it, go for it, believe in yourself, because I believe in you. Take care, lots of love, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.